Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, at whatever time you're watching us on YouTube and WWDB TV, on Roku. And you can catch us on CS Now Staffing YouTube channels. We release one every single Friday at 3 p.m. So welcome to Business Matters. And today I have my friend with me, Paris Bayardo, and he's with Prime Cleaning
Yes.
Systems. I don't
Yes.
want to mess it up.
Yes.
Okay. And so I've known Paris for some time now. I want to say that we met back in, it was it 2015?
16.
2016. So we
Yes.
started Nevada Hispanic Business Group in January of 2015. And
Mhm.
through that organization, I know that that's the way we met.
Yes. It was like a roundabout way. It was
Mhm.
actually through my father-in-law
Yes.
because he was working on a campaign
Mhm.
for Dean Heller. And he said, "You've got to meet this lady. Her name's Laura." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." That was, I was at a difficult, I mean, that time was very difficult for us, but it was something that meant a lot to him. So
Mhm.
I prioritized it, and look where we're at today.
Yeah, and actually we met at an event because I met you through cell phone, right?
Yes.
And I said you got to come. I'm having an event with a supplier diversity director, right? I go, it's going to be a little round table type of event, and I'm pre-screening all the companies, and I want you to be one of them. And so you showed up, and then you land a contract.
Okay, okay,
but let's
I gotta
let's back
tell
up though.
yeah, I gotta tell the audience like what that was like, because the night before I had worked like 16 hours straight.
Mhm.
Right? I had helped an uncle. He was cleaning with the link. He was doing a bunch of stuff with the link. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but he was. But he's since passed. Very good uncle of mine, good mentor. We were working together at a job. I was so tired that day, Laura.
Mhm.
I woke up that day and I said, I gotta go find something. I gotta go hunt today. That's literally what I
Mhm.
said. And I'm driving around and literally I get a phone call. You need to be here. And I literally had just set an appointment with a Class A building, and I said to myself, I can't miss this appointment. Like, I
Mhm.
gotta go to this appointment. And I talked to Lisa, my wife, about it. She said, "You better go to Laura's meeting." I was like, "Absolutely." So we go to Laura's meeting, and here we are. 8 years later, 7 years later, just like, wow, what a
I know.
catapult it was. And that's the power of networking,
Mhm.
right? The power of networking and connecting the dots. Like, how fun and cool is that? And you must feel great when you see us walk around and you're like, I
I love
created those boys.
no, I don't say I created them, but I was part of the journey.
Yeah.
And that's very rewarding for me. That
Yeah.
really is. But anyways, where are you from
So
originally?
originally I'm from Texas. I'm a Texas boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wear it loud and proud. In fact, my wife will tell you, I ordered this special birth certificate. It says, I am a Texan. It's giant too. It's like this big on my wall.
Everything's big in Texas.
I know. And it literally says, I'm a Texan.
Mhm.
But I was born in Dallas, Texas. And shortly after we moved to El Paso, my dad was an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So he never talked about it much. But
Mhm.
after so many years, we talked often. Just when I decided to do my own thing, right? Even at a young age, he would always remind me that you get that from me.
Mhm.
Uh, and I would just laugh and say, "Yeah, but you're a paramedic. Paramedics are amazing." And my dad has done some amazing things, but I never really understood everything he did to get to where he was. It was
Mhm.
very unappreciated until I went through the process myself, you know.
So what brought you to Vegas then? Your
My
family
dad.
owned.
So, really interesting. My dad was pulled out here to open a recycling business. And him and my mom were really efficient in creating these recycling businesses, and they had done it in Texas.
Okay.
And um, he had earned his way into the spot of sweat equity. And the deal was, move your family to Las Vegas,
Mhm.
and we'll give you some sweat equity in this business. So my mom and my dad busted their hump, but they never saw it.
Mm.
Yeah. And you know what? The sad part is, I think a lot of Hispanics go through that, where they're promised something, and in the end they're kind of taken advantage of. And it rubbed my dad so raw that he said, "You know what? I'm just going to go back to school." And he became a paramedic and works for Henderson Fire and has changed and
Nice.
affected so many people's lives.
Mhm.
Um, and as I got older, I began to understand all that sacrifice that him and my mom did, moving their family to Vegas. I mean, they knew nothing of Vegas. It was really on a promise, on a whim, like, let's go try to make it happen. And when it didn't happen, how they rebounded was very impactful, you know?
Yeah, and so then you went to school here then in Vegas
Yep.
because you were here very young then.
Yeah. So I attended, I can't even remember exactly, but I do remember I went to Bendorf. I went to Bendorf for a little bit, and then my parents got a divorce when I started 6th grade at Kenny Gwynn,
Mhm.
and I moved back to Texas. And then I was in Texas for a while, and then we moved back. I moved back to Vegas. So my parents split up. I moved back to Vegas in 2000 and started high school at Palo Verde. But well, I should say I went to Clifford J. Lawrence my 8th grade year.
Mhm.
So I was a little bit through my 8th grade year in Texas, moved out here because of, I mean, Texas is a different animal. It really was.
It
And
is.
where we lived and where we grew up wasn't the best. And my dad just wanted something better for us.
Mhm.
And so we came out here, you
And so
know.
when did you meet your beautiful wife?
She'll tell you she's met me like several times, but when I wanted her attention and when she would give me the attention, I was 18. Yeah.
You were very young then. Did
Yeah.
you guys meet in high school
Yes, we met in high school. And I remember I had just joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints,
then? Mhm.
and we were playing this game, and we were all at the church off of Charles or Alta and Town Center. And we were playing this game, and she was, they had this thing called Young Women's, and
Mhm.
she was at Young Women's, and she was like coming outside with her younger siblings. And I was on the skateboard skating around her, and I was like, "Hey, Lisa, how are you?" And she was just like, "Ugh, don't talk to me." and after that, I was like, no, I wanted her attention, and she didn't give it
Mhm.
to me. And so I just started calling her and pestering her, and she finally gave me the time of day.
She finally gave in.
And then I left.
Where
Yeah,
to?
I went to Paraguay on my mission. So I left for 2 years. And one of the things we did start dating. And one of the things that I didn't want to do, because I was the only member of the at the time of the church, and I wanted to make sure that that what I was going to do was just that, what I said I was going to do, be a missionary and teach
Mhm.
people about Jesus Christ. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want anything to distract me. And I let her know, and she said the same thing. She said, I'm going to go to college. I don't want a boyfriend. And so we decided to just write each other as friends.
Okay.
And the entire 2 years, she wrote me as just a friend, and the same thing. But, it's funny how those, the act of picking up a pen and writing a letter one time is really easy, right?
Mhm.
But doing it 2 years straight there's something to
It's
say
work.
about that. And it's not just like a paragraph. These are pages, because it would take months for me to get a letter from the States. So I would get a letter, and then 60 days later, it would be 60 days later. So
Mhm.
whatever she was sharing with me was already 60 days old.
Wow.
And so
2
then
months old.
and I would respond. So it was like any advice, and I thought I was giving her advice, but any advice was already
Too late.
120 days old by the time that she got it. But no, so we developed a really good a really good friendship,
Mhm.
and I got to know her really, really well.
Mhm.
She went through some things that were really difficult in her childhood with her mom, because her mom got sick, and she had to step up, and that for me was super impactful, especially in deciding, that's someone who I want to have my back.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
definitely. And then her father was in the military, so then
so he was
literally they
busy.
were, yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't
and
like I could call that.
it literally, and the last year of her high school,
Mhm.
her dad went full time, and off to her senior year, she goes to a school she's never been to.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I'll let her tell that story, because that really, I feel like that shaped exactly who she was becoming too.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I got back from my mission, I remember calling her. She was the first person I called besides my parents. I was like, she's my best friend. Like, she's the only
Yeah.
person I really know, you
Mhm.
know? And I called her, and she was like, hello. And I said, hey, Lisa. First of all, my English was terrible. Yeah, it was really bad. And I said, hey, Lisa. And she said, is this Paris? I go, yes. And then it was just like silent. I was like, Lisa? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm just shocked you're calling me. And
Mhm.
it was the most awkward phone conversation. But here I hadn't had that type of interaction with anybody that I cared about for
Mhm.
2 years. And so, let alone somebody other than my family members, right? So it was a little weird. But she got over it real quick.
Wow. So then you guys dated after that?
So she was actually at BYU Hawaii. So while she was there, she doesn't say it, but I know she was dating other people, which I'm fine with, right? And I was
Hmm.
going on dates too, Laura. But you know what's funny is I would go on these dates and I would call her and I'd be like, "Yeah, I just went on this date," and I would tell her all about the date, and she would just listen. And then I would get off the phone and my mom would be, "Did you just tell her about the date?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's my friend. And my mom was like, "Don't you think she's more than a friend?" And I said, "Listen, she's been in Hawaii. I don't know. Like, this is
Mhm.
the only person I've talked to in 2 years. You know, I confide in her to say the least." And then she came down to Vegas after school was out, and we avoided each other, to be honest.
Mhm.
And then finally, I had two friends come into town, and I just got this impression I should call her and invite her out, and I did, and then we were inseparable after that. It was a done deal.
Done deal. When did you guys get married?
In June of '08.
Oh, wait. And you guys have how many kids now?
4.
4. They're
Yeah,
busy.
7 to 13 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
quite. We just went on this little. We went up to Flagstaff just recently, and it's funny to see how big my kids have gotten.
Mhm.
Time flies by so
Oh,
fast.
yeah. Yeah, they grow up so
Laura,
fast.
even think about like the day that we first met.
Mhm.
Every day, even getting ready for today, I sat there and thought to myself, I can't believe it's been that long.
Mhm.
7 years, like
Right.
longer than that, 8 years. It's been 8 years, and that blows my mind.
Oh, I know. I'm thinking like, man, my business has been in business October the 24th for 10 years. Like, how did I get there? And I pivoting all the way, but shoot,
Oh my gosh.
I'm still alive. Thank God.
Yeah, we taught basketball players how to pivot the correct way. We've dealt with, I mean, everything from making transitions during the COVID phase
Oh,
to
yeah.
post-COVID and even pre-COVID. Everything was just moving and then stopped.
Mhm.
And for Vegas, we rely heavily on the strip,
Oh,
you
yes.
know?
Yeah.
And when the strip decided to shut it all down, and they had to, right? It affected our whole economy out here. And it was a little rough. But I will say that there were some classes you put me on, right? One
Mhm.
of them was the Emerging Leaders Program.
Oh, I love
You
that class.
forced me. Yeah,
SBA.
do you
Yeah.
remember this?
Yes.
You said you
You
are
got
taking
it.
this
You're
class,
taking the class.
and you signed me up, and you said, Paris, you got to go to it. And it is, anytime anybody ever asked me what type of education could I do, like a post class? What did you do? I said, you need to get with the SBA.
Mhm.
I know they don't have the Emerging Leaders
No, but
Program
it's a
anymore.
Thrive. It's
Yeah.
Thrive, but it's still the same program, just a
Yeah.
little more techy.
Yeah, it needs to be techy.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
back when we were doing it, but that program catapulted our business tenfold. Like
Wow.
how much the time that I spent going to those classes, because it was hard, right?
Mhm.
It was every week. It was a couple times a week. You had to be there. But the work that you put in,
Because you're working on your business and not
not
in
in
it.
it.
And so it prepares you to be able to pivot, right? But you are a natural entrepreneur.
Oh
You
yeah.
are. You're hyper as heck. We have a lot in common. It takes us a lot to just sit down right now and just have a civilized conversation.
Everybody's gonna notice, like, he's spinning in his chair the whole time. Listen, they gave me a spinny chair.
No, but we'll be right back. We're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back with more of Paris Bayardo, and he'll tell us how he started his business.
Hi, folks. This is Matt Jackson Jr. from Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I want to invite you and your family, your friends, and everyone to join us here on WWDB TV, where we have a plethora of shows and interesting information that you could use today. We'll see you then, folks. Have a good one.
Introducing See Us Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At See Us Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family-Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it. Well, thank you for staying with us with Business Matters. And here I am with Paris Bayardo. And now you're going to be able to share the story of how did you start your business? What made you start janitorial business?
Well, this is our big story behind this. In 2011, my brother-in-law and I started, I actually come from healthcare. Like my wife and I have owned homes for the elderly. We've owned a few hospices here in town. And that was kind of our business at the time. And we started these elderly care homes, and my brother-in-law was a partner. And one day he came to me and he said, Paris, we've got to start a carpet cleaning business. And I said, a carpet cleaning business? He said, yes, we got to do it. So we met with a few people and I was sold on it. I was like, carpet cleaning. And I didn't have the bandwidth to do it though. So my brother-in-law said, you know what, I'll run it. You invest the money, I'll run it. We'll go and help me. And I was absolutely, well, I'll help. And it kind of just stayed as a carpet cleaning business, to be honest. And when we sold our hospice in 2016, our shares in the hospice. We only owned a small share of the hospice. And when we sold them, well, it wasn't technically a sale. We were pushed out.
Okay, that happens sometimes.
Same thing that happened to my dad. Like they tried to not pay me my money, and but I ended up having to sue them. It was a really lengthy process.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was terrible. But what it did, sometimes you got to walk through darkness to find light, right? And I truly believe that. And if you want clarity in your life, sometimes you got to do hard things. And for us, I was sitting there and I said, Lisa, we're going to move to Phoenix. Like we could start the hospice in Phoenix. I have contacts out there. I had a good friend that lived out there that was in healthcare. And she said, no. She's like, you own 50% of this cleaning company. Just apply the same thing that you've been doing with hospice to the cleaning company.
Right.
Because I wanted to keep my end of the bargain. I couldn't compete in healthcare in Vegas for a certain amount of time. And so I said, okay, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Oh, it was terrible. Laura,
partners are hard.
I love them, and we're still partners. But I did walk into, I mean, it wasn't doing anything. It was just there, and he was having to provide for his family too, and he had another job where most of his time was going, and so when I stepped in, I knew there was change that had to happen. Yeah, and sometimes you got to affect that change in order for things to move forward. Because if you don't, it's detrimental to the business. And sometimes emotions and feelings have to be put aside.
Oh, definitely have to put aside.
Yeah, they've got to be put aside, and you've got to treat your business as something that you're a steward over. And when you do that, that's when you're able to make really critical decisions. Well, then we decided to do that. I let him know this is what we're doing. He was fine with it, and we moved forward. And the minute that I started operating, the minute I decided I didn't want to compete with every carpet cleaner in Vegas. Yeah, I didn't want to do it. So I went and studied as much as I can on marble polishing, as much as I can, and marble and marble and marble. And I learned as much as I could learn, as much as what was available on the internet. Now there's much, much more. And we continue to develop and move forward with our marble enterprise because all of this opportunity, and I saw a nice big blue ocean and we took advantage of it. So I sat down with him and I said, listen, this is the direction I'm going. So you either need to jump in the boat with me and start paddling or we got to part ways here. Well, he jumped in the boat.
Good.
Yeah.
Did he end up leaving his job?
Yes. Which, listen, and I'm a firm believer that you eat with people that are willing to starve with you,
Right.
right? And when he said, I'm willing to starve with you, I said, let's go,
Right.
you know? And after that, I met you. And all this networking and all this. And then next thing you know, we get put in front of a person. And it was so funny the way he started that meeting. He said, I love doing these, but nothing really comes of these meetings. Do you remember him saying that? And I was sitting there and I was itching. I was like, I know you need me. I know you need me. Because I knew what the market was like at the time.
Mhm.
I knew the landscape of what was happening because of my people. My people were telling me stuff.
Mhm.
And we move forward. We get to me. And I stand up and I say his name and I said, I can help you. And I share with him exactly what we do. And he said, do you remember? He goes, you and this never happens in these meetings, guys, but I need to meet with him.
And what's funny is then after he sent me an email, hey, can you connect me with the one that does the flooring? I said, yeah. Oh, it's Paris. And he's like, no. There was somebody on there. I go, look, you need to meet with Paris. It's Paris. And finally, when he figured out, you're right, it is Paris. I go, yeah. And you landed that contract and it just changed everything.
Completely our trajectory. And shortly after that, we start the Emerging Leaders Program. And we said, you know what, we want to go. I remember sitting in the Emerging Leaders Program and saying, I wanted to get my business to this number and this level. And that program helped me scale everything up into that point. The first thing I had to do was get the people that were capable and able and willing to stand by my side and roll, and that were better than me. And that's what I did. I went and grabbed the sharpest people in my industry, put them in the same room and said, guys, we can either work together or you can compete with me. And in the end, they decided to come on.
Now, yours is a family business.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you that mine's still a family business, but I bought every single person out. Okay. It gets so difficult to pivot and to move in different directions when you still have partners, whether they're family or not fit family. It's difficult. So how you survived?
Yeah.
You guys are 50-50 split.
Yes.
So one can't do anything else without the other.
Yeah. I will say this, the amount of trust that's involved, and that is probably the single most important thing, is that he 100% trusts the business in my hands.
Good.
And he knows that I would never do anything to hurt him and his family. And that if anything, I only want the business to progress. And I know it takes a lot for him to be okay with some of the decisions that I've made, but also I never make any decisions solely out of my decision. I run everything by him. We work on things together. And if he feels passionate about something that he really wants to get behind, I'm never going to put out that flame. I had the opportunity to sit with somebody who shared with me a really cool quote. He said, oftentimes, Paris, we're asked to leave our egos at the door, but you don't want to do that. You want to bring your ego, but you want to know how to control it. And when you know how to control the ego, then you can make things work, and then you can grow things and become even greater. And we both do a really good job at checking our ego. Every now and then it gets a little out of hand. We get a little, we have our arguments. 100%. And to be fair, I have a lot of family that work with us too. A lot of family. Everything from bookkeeping all the way down to, management, and even people that are working, on the front line. We've done a lot. Some of them have worked out really well. Others haven't, but there is an expectation set right when they walk in. You got to work harder than everybody else.
Exactly.
And never, ever do I ever want to be criticized as favoring family over everybody else. And they all got to go through the same process we all went through.
So I have a really good working relationship with my daughter, who's our VP of operations. She is my no person, right? So who's your no person? Because I know with our personality, we can start a new venture every day if you let us, right? And so you have to have someone who you bounce things back with that say, stop, no, you can't do that. At least not right now. Or, ooh, that's a really good idea. Let me show you how to get there.
Yeah.
Right? So who's your no person?
My finance. My mom.
Your mom.
She still says no to me. No, she keeps both both my brother-in-law and I in line 100%.
Good.
You know,
Good.
because I there are times where I want to make a change
Mhm.
and she'll slow it down. She sees where I'm going. She understands us really well. She sees where the bus is going, but she makes it more of a strategic way of
Mhm.
getting there rather than I just like to vroom, right to where I'm going, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, that's why we have a big truck. We just vroom, right.
Just go right through it.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have 5 minutes left. And so our time's going to run out really quick here, Paris, because I know
know.
it does with conversations with you. What would you like to tell people out there if they're an entrepreneur and they're wanting to start a business, or even if they're trying to maybe even start a family business?
Mhm.
Share a little bit about your challenges and then also your success stories, and
Yeah.
any type of advice you can give them.
Yeah. Well, I think the ego part is really, really important, right?
Mhm.
Vision is a big part of it. You got to have vision on where you're going and how you're going to get there. And does that family member fit that mold? At the end of the day, you can't sacrifice. You're still a steward over the business,
Mhm.
and the business provides for everybody. So I've always kept that first, the business first, and then wherever you fit, you can excel. So vision is a really important part. Clarity. I think a lot of times people seek clarity
Mhm.
in general, but it's really hard to attain clarity. And I think it's this moving object. And you got to have people that in your life that you could bounce things off of. Like I have my no person, but I also have people like yourself where I'll call you and I ask you for advice or and so and so. And I have these people that I surround myself with
Mhm.
that I make these phone calls to that will give me the advice. And usually it's right where I'm like, I knew I should have done that. That's what I should do, you
Mhm.
know? And a lot of that's for just personal confirmation. Like I'm making the right decision in that approach. Um, but expectations, I cannot enforce that is accountability and expectations where helping people understand where they can get to. I had a cousin who one day called.
Mhm.
I know I'm going to go over my time, but
No, no,
listen,
no.
this is a
You're
really
fine. Go.
important story.
Yeah.
I had a cousin that called me one day and said, "Hey, do you need help?" I said, "Yes, I need lots of help." He's, "Well, if I come out there, will you give me a job?" I said, "Absolutely. Just let me know when you're coming out here." Okay. This was on Friday night.
Mhm.
Sunday morning, Lisa and I get a phone call. "Hey, I'm at the airport. Can you come pick me up?" Mind you, we have 4 kids in a 2,000 square foot house with 3 bedrooms. And I'm like, where am I going to house my cousin?
Mhm.
You know? And Lisa, she could have said, no,
Yeah.
we need to find him a place. He needs to find a place. Instead, she was like, let's bring him in. And he went from whatever was happening in Texas to one of our GMs.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's
Yeah.
a really good story because you have also your brother working for you
My
as
brother.
well.
Another success story.
Yeah.
Listen, he
He's a
came.
bidder, right?
Yes. So
He's a number
you
cruncher.
you know what's
Square
funny?
footage.
If you were to ask him, did have you ever argued with your brother
Mhm.
about the position that you decided to take on? He will say, "No, I never did." But he fought tooth and nail.
Mhm.
But I saw something in him that he wasn't able to see because he was just blinded by experience
Mhm.
that he had had up until that point, and he didn't understand all his capabilities just yet. And and he's my brother, so I could really push my brother. And the more I pushed him, one day he woke up, and the happiest day for me was when I cut his bonus check,
Mhm.
and it was 3 months worth of his salary.
Woohoo!
And he was just set like, and his eyes, and I said, dude, look, you can do it.
Mhm.
There's nothing, the only person in front of your success is yourself. You just do the right thing, be transparent, and everything else will fall into place.
And for me, mine was when I was able to give a check to each of my kids and say, "You're completely bought out." No, but it
Yeah.
was like, now you can do whatever you want with your money. This still is part of your company, right? I'm not saying you're completely out of the company. I'm just saying now you have the money that you invested, you have that plus some. go do what you want to do. Start your own journey now, right? And the one that stayed with me was Stephanie.
Oh, I would have called that from a second.
Yeah, our personalities are very similar, but also opposites at times. Because she's my no and I'm the yes.
I know I'm in trouble when Stephanie calls. When I see Stephanie's phone number come up, I'm like, dang it, what did I do?
She's in Reno right now in
Yeah.
military calling. But anyways, what is the best way to get a hold of you, Paris? And then what type of companies are you wanting to reach out to you?
Yeah, so we specialize in floor restoration. So anybody that has stone,
Mhm.
anybody that has slate, even carpet, we do carpet still. Though you're our perfect client. We are very fair, we're very transparent.
Mhm.
We don't add money here or add money there. Everything is right what it says it is on the paper. Best way to get a hold of us is through our main line. If you want to get a hold of me personally, it's a different number,
Mhm.
and I'll share that with you. Could put it on you could share it with your guests. I love to help as much as I can. So if anybody's seeking advice on how to start their business, or maybe they have issues they need to resolve, I'm more than happy to help with that too.
Are you guys hiring right now or
We
doing
are.
any type of internships where you'll show, youngins that, 18, 19-year-old that like, what do I want to do in my life? Well, maybe I want to go into the floor restoration business.
Yep.
So you do that.
We do that. We do
Okay.
a lot of that. Most of our process is through you though.
Mhm.
We have found we have found power partners. CS Now Staffing has been a
Oh,
power
thank
partner.
you. I appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
Laura deals mostly with Letty, and Letty can be difficult at times because she's the money cruncher,
She's not difficult. I actually adore her. I
Yeah.
really do. I adore
She
your whole
shoots
family,
straight.
do. And I adore everyone
Yeah.
from your family. So no, you're good. You're good. But now you're looking for more larger companies, casino industry out there. I mean, when I saw your work at one of the casinos, you literally can see your reflection on the floors.
Yeah.
This is different. You're really good. He's really good at what he does. I don't know if it's the product,
It's a science.
the way you're doing it, but you're really good at that. So if you have a large company, a lot of flooring, Paris is your man. Really, they are. They're really good at what they do. So you definitely want to call him. And the best number to call him, if I give this number,
Yep.
okay, it's 702-706-5522. So make sure that you call Paris, and then you're able to get a quote on that flooring that you have that maybe looks really dull and tacky. But I can tell you, you'll be able to see your reflection on it if you could give Paris a call.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll make it look pretty again.
Yeah. Well, thank you once again for being
Thank
on
you,
our
Laura.
show. It's really nice. But hey, this is the way we can get together, right? Just invite you to this show. But thank you for coming. CS Now Staffing. Thank you for sponsoring this show. And we'll see you at the next one with Business Matters.